Welcome to the UFC 245 press conference. Here is Alexander the Great.
I started MMA when I was 22 years old, so reasonably late. I'm still trying to figure it all out. What made me me? What made me the champion? Why am I so resilient, so durable? I've always been small. I'm 5'6", you know, on a good day. So I've always been undersized. You want to feel it? A lot of people like
it's hard, man.
That's what I mean. A lot of people bring up the Ortega guillotine. Literally, the lights were dimming. I'm about to go to sleep.
You have supposedly, I think, trained Mark Zuckerberg. This Zuckerberg, Elon Musk fight, whatnot. What do you rate him as?
One thing that was an eye-opener for me was against Max Holloway. When I went there and everyone was booing me.
You're crowned world champion. What runs through your mind at that point in time? What's the feeling like?
Oh man, it's
All right, Alex. Welcome to the Out of Interest podcast. Firstly, I do want to thank you so much. You've spent a lot of time there with everyone. You gave ample time for everyone. I saw a couple of people do round 2, round 3 photos, and you still gave so much time to them. So for that reason, can I have another round of applause for Alex for giving so much time? Thank you. Really, really appreciate it. It's very generous of you. Excuse the Prime bottles, and everyone knows that he's a Prime athlete, so I brought a couple of my Prime bottles that I'll get signed later from you.
Yeah, no worries.
I'm not going to sell it on eBay. It's all right. That's my personal connection.
Just back on what we were saying, obviously, given the time, I obviously don't mind it. I appreciate always the support. Yes. So, I've got nothing but time for people that, not only support the sport and, athletes, but obviously myself as well. So I appreciate it. So thank you.
It means a lot.
Thank you. I think for that reason, you might have gained a few more fans. So a few more Instagram followers as well. You already have enough, beautiful. But I need some following me. Alex, welcome to the Out of Interest podcast again. The way we do our podcast is laid back, have a good time.
Awesome.
Not as swearing as Logan Paul. I know you. So my first question for you would be, you seem like a bully when you were a kid.
A bully?
Yeah.
When I was a kid?
I don't know why. I get that bully sense. Because I've known a few Macedonians, Greeks and whatnot. They're always bullies.
Oh, really, yeah?
Were you a bully?
No, I was never a bully. No, honestly, I can't stand. Really? I can't stand bullies. Like honestly, I'm not a. I've always been sort of the type that would stick up for people that were getting bullied.
Okay.
I hated seeing it. Sometimes it could get me in trouble because I would feel like I had to, sort of step in and be like, hey, that's enough. Even as I was getting a little bit older, people causing trouble. And, someone harmless and then someone's trying to start, I always felt like, hey, it's enough. And then sometimes it ends up being me getting involved just purely because I didn't want to see that. But no, I've never been like that.
Right.
I apologise if that's what if that's what I look like. I didn't realise I come across that.
Like everyone that gets into fighting loves fighting.
Yeah,
right,
you're right. Obviously, it is a part of sport. Everyone, you would think everyone says you need to have that mongrel and aggression, and we need to let that aggression out. Yeah. It's never been like that for me. It really hasn't. It's never been. I look at it as purely just a sport. It is a sport to me, and you even see me backstage before I'm about to go and compete, and I'm calm. I'm having a laugh. I'm literally how we are now. Because I don't know. I even say this when a lot of people obviously they go and they listen to whether it's crazy music or whatever it is to pump themselves up to get them. I've never been like that. I like to keep myself because I want to. It's a sport to me. I want to go out there. I want to be composed. I want to know what I'm doing. You know what I mean? It's I've got strategy. I've got a game plan. So I want to make sure I'm focused. So it's never been about that for me. That's probably why you can see me be so controlled. Obviously, it might look different, like when you see me, obviously doing ground and pound and whatnot. But it's never me, not aggression anyway. Yeah. And that's why I'm always trying to be respectful
as well, and that just makes it even more scary. Assuming you didn't have that at school, so it's just.
Actually, I was lucky enough not lucky, because I've got them now, but I didn't have. I did 3-4 years, maybe even more. It was probably 5-6 years, till I started getting the cauliflower ear. Right. This used to be my bad ear, but it's my good ear now. And then, I don't know, like football, I didn't get it in rugby league, because I know a lot of rugby league players will get it as well sometimes. But it just came later in the career, but it's here to stay now.
Is there any way of getting rid of it?
Hey?
It creeps me out, man. Is there any way of
I don't. You want to feel it? A lot of people like
it's hard, man.
That's what I mean. A lot of
That's
people.
hard.
Everyone usually sits there and feels they expect it to be like soft or something like that. It's like hard as a rock.
That is hard as a rock.
Like it's. I don't know if you can hear that. Like it's like hard as rock.
Yeah. Oh. Was sport always going to be the career choice, or were you bad at school or something? Is that why you chose sport, or was it because you know what?
I mean, the bully part was wrong, but I mean, I wasn't good at school.
Yeah.
Like, when I say I wasn't good at school, like I've never been the smartest human being. I'm clever when it comes to common sense or like
street smart.
Street smart, and like obviously. I'm clever when it comes to the sport that I'm passionate about. So I'm lucky. Like I do really understand, mechanics and all that type of thing, especially with the sport I do. But I was never really the cleverest guy in school. So I'll be honest. But I'm glad I'm pretty good at what I do. But I did always want to be like I wrestled when I was younger. Like the first sport I did was soccer. Out of all the sports I did, soccer was definitely the worst. So I'll be honest about that. But then I did a bit of wrestling. I was pretty good at that, national champion, 2-time national champion, and then played rugby league. So I was okay at rugby league. I was a semi-pro and never made it to NRL. But I mean, I always wanted to obviously do, mixed martial arts. But I was just, playing football with the mates and whatnot, and then it obviously eventually came.
So you've always wanted to smash people's face?
It's yeah, I guess you could say. No, I mean, I really don't look at it that way. I really look at it as me going in there and doing that. It's funny, like, because you need to do that to win.
Yeah.
But like you need to, punch your opponent in the face. So then that's just that. But I mean, for me, it's again, it's a sport. I love competing. So that's why I've done many sports. But this is something that. I don't know, it's always been something I wanted to do. Even my uncles and my dad and my uncles, like, barbecues, and that's all they ever talked about, being, Macedonian and Greek and warrior. And then they would, because this isn't something I'm proud of. But when I was younger, I was still known to get into some
trouble.
Because again, I would always stand up for myself and stand up for people as well. So they always knew I could sort of fight, so they're always like, it's a Greek in him, it's a Massa in him, and we have these arguments. So it's always, that's all they ever talked about so it was something that I grew up, with martial arts, and then they've always loved martial arts, boxing, and that. And so it's always been a big part of growing up. Something that was always there, but I just never did it.
Yeah.
I always wanted to do it, and then I started when I was 22. I started MMA when I was 22 years old, so reasonably late, especially to start a career and be doing how I'm doing now. I started that very late.
Yeah. How did your family take it when you said I want to go to a ring and fight?
Yeah, well, pretty tough. Like you could imagine, like how long ago? Well, how long did most of you in here start watching MMA, like UFC? It's probably not too long ago. Anyway, So when I started, I started about how long will that be now? 13 years ago or something like that, and. So even then, like, it was still getting bigger, but it was nowhere near like what it is today. So when I started, like, they're just like, what is this? Like, what sport are you doing fighting? Like, they just couldn't, like, even rugby league, that was a big, from soccer to wrestling to, rugby league. They're like, what are you doing? But I guess I eased them into it with like the rugby league and that as well. But they were a bit funny, but they didn't really watch too many of my earlier fights. So they were supportive, but just a bit, like it's a pretty confronting sport. But they ended up, coming, and now they're literally my biggest fans. They know everything. They know more than me. Like they like pretty much know when I'm fighting before I do. Like they know exactly what my opponents have said or who they've fought. They know all the stats, and it's pretty cool. Like every YouTube.
Strange though. Like is your parents? Mm-hmm. But wouldn't they be worried? Like my son is going to a ring.
Well, they were.
There's a chance of you.
I'm sure they get nervous. They still do get nervous. So you'll see I'm pretty sure they're a bit of a nervous wreck when I'm about to do it, but. Luckily, I don't take too much damage. You know what I mean? Like we do. There's always going to be a bit of blood, but and it's obviously doing well. So that does make it easier. But I'm sure they get nervous. I'm sure they get scared.
My dad used to get worried when I used to go for a drive alone. You come to a ring. Like that's strange how a parent or family could be so supportive. Like you're married.
Well, they're supportive, but I mean, like they get it. I'm sure, again, they're going to get nervous.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess sometimes that can add to it all as well. Like, the emotional sort of roller coaster that you have. Like for me, like that's what I love about it as well. I think that's why it's such a it is a bit of a, crazy sport, but I think a lot of people love it because of, there's a lot happens. There's a lot on the line, and I think even, family, again, it's scary, but to have them nerves and, the fear and then the win and then, all right, he's safe, he's all good, and all them highs and lows really add to the whole sport for them, you know what I mean? Like, so especially when they see their kid doing well, so.
Did you feel that starting at the age of 22, which you're saying is a bit later than average, did that help because your body matured a bit more mentally, you're a bit more mature than somebody who started much later, and you understood your capabilities, you understood, which positions and forms and whatnot were actually more suitable for you?
That's a good way of putting it, because I don't know what it is. I'm still learning so much about myself. Like, I learn, I'm obviously a lot smarter than I was back then. Like, I learned so much about myself and about the world. And I'm still trying to figure it all out. Like, what made me me? What made me the champion I am? Like, why am I so resilient, so durable? You know what I mean? Like, how can I, stay so composed in there? And I think there's a lot of, the way you're brought up and experiences and, and things like that. But yeah, I think starting later and being get a little bit more mature and understanding and having some experiences, as I said, through different sports. And, I've always had to I've always been small. I've always been so even when I was a prop, so I don't know if a lot of you know, but I used to be 200, I don't need to say pounds because we're in Australia. So I was at 97 kilograms playing front row. So you could imagine I was very short, 5'6", on a good day. So, and so it's definitely, I've always been the smaller, I've always been undersized, and I've always had to, I played a position where I was versing guys twice the size of me, and I've always held my own. And I think that added to that sort of durability, hard guy, because now I'm fighting featherweights.
Yeah.
And I'm used to, and I even train with a lot of bigger guys. So I look at these featherweights and I feel like I'm tower over them. Most of them are obviously still towering over me. They're twice the size of me, but I've got that little chihuahua, they think they're 10 foot tall. It's literally how I am in there. I look at these tiny featherweights, I'm too strong for them. That's sort of how I don't really look at it that way, but I sort of have that feel. I look at someone and be like, that's it. I actually remember when I used to train in Thailand, would line up there would be that many people sparring, we had to break them up to bigger guys and smaller guys. So I would always be on the bigger side, I'd go there thinking that, these guys are my size, and then I'd get the coaches going, get over there, what are you doing? I'm like, what do you mean? And I'm there looking at it, I think that they're half the size of me, but they're all towering over me, but that's just sort of how it is for me. So I feel like that does add to that transition from rugby league to MMA. Definitely helped. You know what I mean? Definitely. So again, life experiences, the way I was brought up, and then again, experiences through other sports and whatnot.
It's the Greek warrior blood.
Hey,
the Greek warrior.
Yeah,
blood.
Greek. I mean, there's so many different warrior bloods out there, but my uncles are going to tell me that anyway. So.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's that patriotism. Because I'm Turkish, right? So baklava is Turkish, right?
Yeah.
So. You said we got that on camera, guys.
I did. Okay.
Was it set up?
Get me in trouble? I mean, because I'm Macedonian, obviously Macedonian and Greek, so there's a lot of the time they're going at it, which so everyone's going to know that.
But your mum's Greek, though.
Hey, your mother's Greek, your dad's Macedonian.
So how do you see yourself?
I'm Macedonian and Greek. That's how I do it. Keep me out of it. If you get excuse me, but try and keep me out because it's there's a lot of times on the comment section. Because I'm Alexander the Great as well.
Yes.
And we all know they're fighting for 100%. Who Alexander the Great is, and and now they see Volkanovski, a Macedonian name. So the Greeks are like, "What? Change your nickname, Alexander the Great. He's Greek." And I'm like, "Well, I am Greek, but anyway." So it's and you just see them go at it. So I just try and I just sit on the fence and stay out of it, but. Yeah.
You take that anger in the ring.
Huh?
You take that anger out in the ring.
Yes, I don't get angry, I'm telling you. I'm happy.
So how do you pump yourself
I don't need to. Even when I played rugby league, I never had to pump myself up. It's something that I'm going to go and do what I need to do. You know what I mean? It's the same as when you're training, right? The closest thing you're going to get to, you fighting in the UFC is sparring. And like, I don't go in the sparring ring. You see me, outside sitting there listening to music, going crazy, ready to punch my training partners in the head. Like, it's not like that. Like, I go in there, we're having a laugh and we train. Again, you've got to be calculated, and there's going to be, I don't know. I just don't put aggression and my sport together. I really don't. That's me.
Do you think aggression is a weakness in fighting?
I think it can be, definitely. I'm in a position where sometimes, when people will talk trash, and I'm usually pretty respectful, and you're going to get people that will talk trash, and sometimes that can get the fire up. Like, I'll never let myself get too emotional and angry, but I mean, there's times where I'll like try and let it like get a little fire in there, and sometimes I compete pretty good there as well, because I know I can always stay composed. I know I won't panic. I know I won't go too crazy. I can still, stick to a game plan and do what I need to do.
Right.
Because you have such a strong control over your emotions, that gives you a clarity of mind, and then you can execute your strategy better. You generally find in life that when you get so wrapped up in being angry or emotional about something, you can't look at things with clarity, and then you make a lot of mistakes. So do you feel that reflects in your behaviour in the Octagon?
I think that's with anything in life as well. You know what I mean? Whether it's business or whatever it is, if you can't have a clear head and see reason and get a good understanding and be able to adjust to what's happening rather than just getting emotional and letting that come over and making bad decisions because of that. I think that's in everyday life. I think it's having that clarity and that composure definitely helps. For me as well, like a lot of people bring up the Ortega guillotine. You know what I mean? And like, to stay composed and not panic, and and still try and like, what do I need to do here when you're literally, the lights were dimming, I'm about to go to sleep, like, know what I mean? But I was like, all right, do this, do that, like, oh no, this can't be happening, all right, do what you got to do. Like, to not panic and just freak out and then just, you'll probably tap, well, not tap, you'll probably go to sleep a lot quicker. But I was able to stay composed and do that little bit, find the, make the right adjustments, right decisions to just get me out. And then his arms gasped before I went to sleep. And then I was like, all right, now my turn. So it was, it's crazy. But again, I think not being emotional and trying to, stay composed, and that is why you see me be successful as well. A lot of people talk about my fight IQ. And they'll my Octagon control and, just that's what they talk about. Like, I think a lot of my best traits are, that IQ, but I think a lot of that comes down to, a lot of people know what they're doing, but can they have that clarity in there, which is, I think that separates me, that them 1%ers in everywhere, cardio, the composure, fight IQ and clarity in there, it's definitely all adds up to making me who I am.
You touched on trash talking. Because right now, everyone trash talks. Like, there's a fight coming up with Logan and Dylan. That's just nuts right now. Is trash talking part of promoting a fight?
I'm not a fan of it. And everyone thinks that's a blueprint now. They've seen Conor McGregor do it, and now everyone's trying to, do this. One thing that I'm proud of, a lot of people ask me, what are you most proud of, like accomplishments? And, I'd love, the belt and all that's great, but I'm so happy to be where I am now, being the same person I was from the start. I didn't change. I didn't be someone I'm not for the money, or, it's just something that, a lot of people will talk trash, they'll do things, and then they might fast track their way, to better positions in the UFC. But I'm glad I didn't do that. I didn't have to do that. I did it through hard work and winning and putting myself in positions and not letting anyone take away them opportunities away from me. And now I think it's paid off well. I think a lot of people respect that and appreciate that. And so I think it's one of the best decisions I've made, because it's really paying off for me now.
Is there an example you could give us when in the Pentagon, in the ring, someone was trash talking to you? Is it a specific fighter that loves to trash talk? Anyone you could point out?
With me?
Yeah, in the ring.
I'm trying to think if anyone's has really trash talking.
Because sometimes in a fight you see people, the fighters talking to each other. Especially when you're laying into them. The people are saying something.
Max Holloway will try and do that, because he knows he's got the gas tank and he won't panic. Even when you're even though I'm winning, he will still try and do that, try and get in your head. But I mean, he's the only one that could probably stay composed, even when he was losing. A lot of other guys, I didn't really give him much to trash talk about. You know what I mean? Like, and obviously me and Islam was very competitive but respectful. So it's not like we're trying to trash talk each other. Yeah. There was moments where, like, come on, like, it was more ego because of the crowd's going, and it was like more. A lot of times I do that when you see me go in there. I'm trying to fire myself up. Like, I'm trying to get myself hyped up and get, like, through this time of my career. So when I first started, the reason why I'm so composed, I've always tried to keep myself very composed. Walking in, all right, try not to focus on the crowd, like, too much. I don't want to get too emotional. I need to stay calm. And I did such a great job of that I started getting too chill in there. Like, I was literally getting too chill in there, where I was like literally feeling like I'm just here. I'm just having a chat. You know what I mean? And I was like, all right, I need to start trying to find a bit of fire. So like the Ortega one, there was a bit of trash talking, and there was a little bit of bad blood there, and like I end up thriving off that. So I enjoyed it. So, and then there was obviously the Max would say things to each other, but it was never disrespect. It was just more like, let's go. Like, it was more like that. So, but again, I'll like do that to fire up. Again, it's not aggression. It's just more. I don't know, hyped up, get ready, get that fire in the belly. Yeah, like, so even, again, I said this earlier where I don't want to get too emotional, but I do want to have a little bit there where I'm just, because I know I can stay so composed and I won't ever get too emotional, that I love having that little bit. And it's only been through the last few fights where I've sort of realised that. So now I try and, one good reason, one thing that was an eye-opener for me was against Max Holloway, when I had, went there and everyone was booing me. Okay. And I was like, because during the fight week, I was just, because it was back-to-back fights from Korean Zombie and Max Holloway. So I started getting really chill. Like, I was like, fight week, I'm like, oh yeah, man, I'm competing this weekend, it's Max Holloway, like, I've got to be ready for this. I'm like, all right, press conference, I'll hype myself up, and we'll see what we can do. And then, the crowd will probably boo or something, I'll just use that. So they started going, and then I started using the crowd, the boos, and then he started trash talking, which he doesn't usually do. I think he was trying to get in my head. And he didn't know that, I was talking to, because I got a sports psych and that. And I was even talking to him about, I need to fire myself up, I'm going to use a press conference. So he started doing this. I'm like, thank you. That's exactly what I needed. Yeah. And it just, I couldn't believe how like much it pumped me up. And then in there, while I was firing myself up, I was trying to do, like, trying to go, come on, let's go, because I was landing a couple of shots. And I was just on point. I felt so good in there. Everything was clear. My, the fire was there. Everything was just on point. I'm like, I need that. I need that. Now I need, like, I need that yin and yang. I need that balance, right? I needed that balance with, you still want a little bit of fire there as well. You don't want to be too level. You don't want to be too calm, but calm enough to stick to a game plan. But you still want that little bit of fire, not aggression. Yeah, fire.
The opposite side. Do you have a soft spot? So let's say you're fighting an opponent and you give them the biggest hammering they've ever received in their life. Do you have like a guilt? Do you feel bad later on? Yeah. Because when someone knocks someone out, they're out there partying, dancing in the Octagon. The poor guy's there suffering. I think what's up with that?
So I think the actual. So if you were to say knock someone out, I think it's because it all happens quickly and the emotions like, oh yeah, I won, right? You're literally figure out you won like that. Yeah. And I think their emotions can just take over. So I think even for me, that's because I literally do like feel sorry for, like, and you can see it. Like, I sometimes go to the ref, I'm like, come on, man, like, what are you doing? Like Korean Zombie, Ortega, I just felt like I could see that they're warriors, and they're not going to give up. Yeah. They're not going to sit there and tap out. Like, they're not going to say I'm done. But I can look at them and know that they feel defeated already. And I started getting to a point where I was like feeling bad, but I mean, then you'll get, but that's over a time where, like, I can see that, I'm too much for him. I'm not really giving him much. I feel like he's defeated. And then, like, so it's a sort of slow process of me understanding that, man, this guy's in pain. Yeah. You know what I mean? Where I think if you're just going and like, oh man, yeah, boom, and then something happens, like you realise you win on the spot, I think that's when they go. And then sometimes you'll see him celebrate, whoa, and then they'll go back to him and then, like, they'll show their respects, and they realise, like, oh wait, there's a guy hurt. So you'll see that. So I can see why that happens sometimes, but I definitely, feel bad. Like I said, I'm pretty, I'm definitely composed. I remember my debut in the UFC. I put my hand on the cage, and the refs goes, he said, don't put your fingers in the cage. I turned back, oh, sorry, mate. And then I get taken down. I got taken down like halfway through the fight because I was apologising to the ref. So it's like, again, like I am clear and I am calm in there. Like that's a little, and that's on tape. Like I can show you the footage of that.
Yeah. So
it's pretty fun.
What happens in the ring stays in the ring?
Yeah,
or
for
do
sure.
you guys take that outside as well?
Even for me, when there's even if there's a bit of a bad blood, like there's always gonna be a respect there. Like you guys, especially you're gonna have respect for guys that even just getting in there and then putting it all like, especially when you're, a fight like mine and Ortega's, where like, it was a war, it was very exciting and all that. Like, you share a crazy moment, a moment that is gonna probably be remembered through history for a while. So like it's, there's a respect there. Same as Islam, like, like the competitive fight, like it was it really lived up to that hype, and everyone could really appreciate that. So you're always going to share like a greatness together. So there's always going to be a mutual respect.
Touching on Islam, do you think you won that one?
Yeah, of course. Like obviously I'm going to think that, you know what I mean? Like, but one thing I don't like when people say robbery. And obviously, I can totally see why people say he won, and me, like people are going to have a bias. Everyone's going to have a bias. People that support me are going to have a bias, and it's going to be vice versa. That's just how it is. That's just the way the world works. The way I look at it, I'm going to know, that didn't really hurt me. There's going to be a bias there, right? And he's going to think the same. And then but again, like with me, with the scoring criteria, it's definitely that round 2. I just think it was very, very close. And that's why I could never say it's not a robbery. Like, I mean, you can definitely see how the judges are going to give him the rounds. Do I think I won? Of course, I'm going to think that, and I have to think that. But it was definitely, and I'm more than happy, and I've said this, I'm like, because I've even went out and made it public to people. I was like, you can't call that, like, people trying to, I've been in that situation where I've been in such a close fight and everyone's just calling robbery, and it hurts, and the way people are, like the negative feedback you get, it hurts. Obviously, I'm going to be disappointed and, wish, but I mean, I think I'm okay with it. Again, I know how competitive. I'm just glad that fight lived up to the expectations.
No,
it was definitely a number one and number two going at it.
Well, what do you feel is so unique about fighters who are coming out of that part of the world? Because they're producing some stellar talent. So when you're in the ring against them and you're fighting against these guys, what do you feel makes them the way they are?
When you talk about
the bear wrestlers in Dagestan.
Yeah. Oh man, like it's a discipline. Like that's that's all they do. They discipline. They're going to do it. They're not going to have all these other crazy distractions. And I'm lucky enough for myself, and that's sort of how I am. That's how I train. Everything for me is when I'm in the gym, it's 100% focused on that gym. There's not many people out there. I think the distractions of the world are always going to get in the way, and and that's not the case for them. You know what I mean? They go out there and their purpose is they've got a purpose and they want to, and they're disciplined and they go in there and they're clever. They know what they're doing. Like I respect them. That's why I was ready for a lot of stuff, because a lot of people just go and they expect normal jiu-jitsu and all that. Well, I knew that these guys, they study, they are very MMA specific, and so am I. So that's why I was like, I'm going to be able to do one. Like I knew obviously it was going to be a very tough one, but I mean, I knew that I'll be able to have answers. I was confident I would be at least able to get back to my feet. So it was, but I can, it's no surprise to me is why they're going to always be very competitive and have champions and great fighters coming from that.
Alex, I'm an honest person, right? I was supporting Islam.
Yeah.
Right, but now we are podcast buddies.
Okay, yeah.
For a rematch, I'll be supporting you.
All right.
And everyone in this room will be supporting you, right?
All right. Oh, Look, man. At the end of the day, I'm fine with it. Like I have people that will come up to me and be like, and there's always respect.
Yeah.
It's like, oh look, I'll be honest. Like I'm an Islam fan, but I've got much respect for you. And I'm like, it's fine. Like I totally don't mind that. Like,
so what would you do different in a rematch?
I've always had that as well. I've had like Max Holloway. I've had people. I was like getting booed. Like I've beat this guy like twice, and I've been the champion a while, and then I walk into I've never done nothing wrong. I've always tried to be respectful. I've always I've always been a people pleaser. Like I've always tried to do the right thing, and now I'm getting booed. Like what I mean. But like, all right, I understand it. They're just supporting this guy. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm, you know, and I learned that through time. So I'm fine with that.
So what would you do for a rematch? How would you change your approach with a rematch with Islam?
Well, I mean, like, yeah, you can't give too much away. But I mean, again, like, it's always going to be a competitive fight. Like, it's always going to be that type of fight. Because it's going to be, you know, it's going to be mixed martial arts. You know, for one thing, you need to definitely be prepared for 5 rounds of absolute war. There's definitely a few things that I can change. Obviously, I had a lot of respect for his wrestling, which you should. Like, they're obviously very great at what they do. So I was, you know, there was a lot there. Obviously, you could see the range that I was fighting at. And I thought when I would close the gap, he would want to shoot more. And I started getting ready for that. But then his striking, like, you know, surprised me. So there's definitely... So I could change my approach in a couple of things. I'll leave it that way. But I mean, but I'm sure he's saying the same thing. He's going to want to change. So, which excites me, man. It really does. Like, the fact that now we can do rounds 6, 7, you know, to 10. Again, I know that the world's in for a treat for that one.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's obviously got Charles Oliveira, which I see him winning. I don't see anyone really challenging him much, to be honest, in the lightweight division. I feel like I'm the only one that can really give him a challenge. So, and put on a real good show for the fans.
100%.
You mentioned about, you know, people studying people's style and whatnot. Now, you've been in this caper for a long time. You've been in this for a long time. So people have obviously viewed your style, your technique and everything else. How much does that run through your mind and say, look, you know what, am I becoming predictable? Are people able to, you know, read my play before it happens? And how do you then change that to ensure that you're still unpredictable?
Yeah, so well, that's it. You know, you want to be unpredictable. My whole style based around breaking rhythm, being unpredictable and changing things up, you know what I mean? So not only I will adjust on the fly, a lot of my game is, you know, there's a lot of things that look the same with so many different options. And then there's so many other complete different styles and looks and things that I have with all these other options, all these other looks and all these, you know, similar looks with different results or different options. And so and I do that all in defenses as well. So I'm a very, very hard person to read because, again, like I'm always trying to lead the dance and I'm always trying to throw so many things at them. And depending on what they give me, depending on what option I give them, you know what I mean? It depends on which option I take. So it's always going to be hard for someone to just be able to do that because, again, I feel like I can fight at many different ranges. I can fight at a long range, I can fight at mid-range, I can fight at a close range, I can wrestle, I can obviously grapple, and I can strike. So I've obviously never had a problem with taller guys' range where a lot of people think is going to be a problem for me, and I end up out-striking them. So I can really mix it up. People talk about being well-rounded. You know, I really do believe I'm up there with some of the most well-rounded fighters, and I think that's what's got me to where I am and why I will always be a bit of a puzzle for people. And then all these other little details and little things that I'm talking about on top of that.
Alex, I'm looking at your belt. What does the red mean?
All right, so this one, I'll be completely honest with you. This is the one that I got for UFC 290 against Hejaz. They gave me this belt. Okay. So my belt, the one that I've got at the house, it's got all the rubies. I don't have the bit with the rubies on it at the moment, so it would have been like have half of it off it. So that's why there's no point bringing that because I'm getting the rubies on it. So each defense or each title fight, you get a ruby.
Right.
So so the ruby gets put on there, and then they have the date. They have the UFC event you're on, and so then on the plaque, it's got like you know, the flag. You know, the. Would
you ever consider selling these?
Selling them? I mean, maybe no, probably not.
Yeah, things get tough.
Maybe a price, you never know. I mean, for me, it's I don't know, you know, it's just a belt.
But were you more proud of getting the belt or having your latest child? Because you became a child.
No, a child, 100%.
Right,
you know what I mean? Like the belt's just a piece of material to me. Like, it's nothing to me. You know what I mean? But the meaning of it, you know, the success and like what it does for me and my family. You know what I mean? What it represents is so much more to me. The belt, like I'll be honest, it's just getting dusty. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like that's
you just bring it over here for all these people to touch.
Yeah. Well, that's it. Well, like I know, but the thing is, one thing I do appreciate about it, And this means much more to me is when I give my family, when I bring it home to the family and everyone how much they appreciate it. Yeah. And watching people's reaction holding it, I get way more out of that than I do me holding it. For me, it's just a piece of material.
How many belts do you have?
I'm being honest, hey?
How many belts do you have?
I've got 2. So I've got one and that one as well. So.
Can you talk us through the feeling? Because you work so hard for so many years to get yourself to a point where you win a world championship and you're crowned world champion. What runs through your mind at that point in time? What's the feeling like? What's the emotion like?
Oh man, it's a relief, really. I'd say it's a relief. There's so much pressures that are there that you don't really realise. Because I try and be composed the whole way through, or I guess all the way through life. I'm always trying to have a shield of, keeping my composure shield or my resilience shield type thing. So even when I go into camp, you're going to get injuries, but I've got no time to deal with that. You got the stresses of your body or your game planning. These little doubts coming in you're trying to deflect all these things and not worry about them, and there's just a pressure that is always there. Even when you feel like you're not letting them come in, but keeping them out, there's a lot of pressure there. And I mean, even your emotions, trying to not let yourself get emotion. As I told you, I try and keep myself composed, and and things like that. So especially earlier in my career, when I'd do that to the full extent, where I'm all right, I can't get emotional. I'd shut everything out, and just straight after and get your hand raised, and then just this relief of we did it, and that's when you'll see me. You'll finally see real emotion out of me. Most of the time, I'm pretty chill and and pretty composed. But then you will see me thank you, you know what I mean, and just sort of let everything, emotions just fly. So a relief, a good way of putting it is just a relief. We did it, a relief. Now I can bring that belt back to my family.
Yeah. Now you have 2 belts. You're champion of UFC. You're an absolute legend. I don't even know why you're not a national hero yet in Australia. Maybe they're not promoting fighting. I don't know what's going on. But what else do you want to achieve in UFC? You've got the belts. You're a champion. You're a legend. You're in a prime athlete. What the hell? So what's next? What are you trying to achieve? What are you trying to prove next?
Prove? Obviously I do want to leave a legacy behind. I do want to. Because leaving a legacy behind, obviously you do want to be remembered, but at the same time, when you accomplish a legacy like that, a lot of success, and you can look after your family. I want to be able to look after my family, forever, and their families and whatnot. So there's a lot that comes with that, but just try and be the best human being and father I can. That means a lot to me. And like I said, one thing I'm proud of is. Obviously everyone makes mistakes and everyone's going to do some things, but I'm pretty happy with that I've been able to be myself through the whole process, and I just want to make sure I continue to do that and be the best person I can, best father I can.
Now, I had a podcast with Tyson Fury a couple of months ago, and he's terrifying, right? I don't know, have you ever met him?
I have met him a couple of times.
Absolutely terrifying, because I was like a nobody to him. He's squashed me or something. But on the podcast, he said how UFC fighters are not manly because they're on the ground rolling around and touching each other.
Okay.
Right. What would you say to that statement?
What would I say to that statement?
What would you say to that statement?
I like Tyson Fury, what I mean? But look at me, and I love boxing.
Right.
You know what I mean? But if it doesn't get any more natural and real as mixed martial arts. It's pretty much all aspects. So in the real world, how people have been doing it for however long, it doesn't get much closer than what we do in there. So put it this way, I love boxing as well. And I do a lot of boxing sparring and stuff like that. There's a lot of less things you need to worry about boxing. Put it this way, I feel like, I don't mean that's not a knock to boxing, because again, I love it. But it's if I had to say something to Tyson, I'll be like, I'll totally disagree. For one, I would think if we're gonna have to pick a more alpha, would you say alpha? But a more out of the 2 sports, I think you would have to stick to MMA.
So if we shrunk Tyson or grew you, do you reckon you could take him on?
MMA? Boxing?
Yeah.
I've got to believe in myself, eh? I've got to believe. If you shrunk him,
Yeah, we shrunk.
I mean, I'm going to see him in a few weeks too. Hopefully he's staying out by then. No, but I mean, if you go down to my size, I mean, he's got good skill, but yeah, I'm going to back myself as well. I'm always going to back myself. I mean, he's great. Like, he's obviously a great champion. He's great to watch it, entertaining. You would know. Like, you had to do the podcast with him. He's a funny dude.
I'm not going to lie.
He's a character.
Yeah, I was going to cry at the start. I was that intimidated.
Oh, really?
He looked at me dead in the eye. He's like, when are we starting? I'm like, oh.
Oh, really? So you got them vibes early?
Oh, I got that vibes. And then I made everyone clap, and he's like, yeah, man, let's go.
Oh, there you go.
So that clap worked. That's why I keep making everyone clap.
Have you watched these
Netflix? Yeah, I love it.
You watched it?
I love it. It's really
so you got a couple of different sides of him there, like, you know, so like it's in there. So it's interesting because I really didn't mind seeing that, because you can see obviously what goes down in the sport, and like, you know, the highs and lows, and you know, people dealing with outside of the sport and outside of, you know. So it's crazy, and obviously, you know, you can see he's talked about mental health and things like that, and you get to see a bit of that. He shows a bit of it. Like, I mean, the access they gave to Netflix or whoever it was pretty incredible. Yeah. But I mean, you got a bit of that access too, by the sounds of it. So you got to see a bit.
He came into the office, opens up the Mentos jar, gets a Mentos and just chews on it. That was the first thing he did in the office, and that's when I knew this guy.
You mean business?
We live in his world. Yeah, we live in his world. But Muzza, do you have any other questions?
I've got a silly one to end with.
All right, here we go.
You have supposedly, I think, trained Mark Zuckerberg. This Zuckerberg, Elon Musk fight, whatnot. What do you rate him as?
What do you mean
as a fighter? Does he have any ability,
I mean,
or you
like
just think he's just?
He's actually quite, like, he's athletic. He's actually he trains a lot. Like, a part of his actual schedule is being active and training. Like, he's like always wakeboarding and doing things like that. So he's always always active, and he does like he's legit training. He was training for that, like 100%.
Really?
Yeah, like he was training. He trains like 2 hours every day. Obviously you could imagine how busy the bloke is. But he always had 2 hours in the morning for martial arts.
Who do you think will win? Elon or...
I mean, I'm backing Zach. Obviously he's half the size, but I mean, skill goes a long way.
Yeah. But he seems a bit fitter, physique-wise.
I mean, like I said, he's fit. Like he's very fit. Like he's I think he's been probably active his whole life. I mean, it's a side of that people don't get to see. Yeah. Obviously, you know, you get whatever you see and whatever that, but I mean, everyone you meet's always going to be different to what you see, you know. Yeah. So it's but I mean, if I had to back anyone, I'd back Zach.
Before we start wrapping things up, does anyone in the audience have a question? Here we go. Let's go.
You know what?
Congratulations, first of all.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
I wanted to ask, being an athlete, you obviously spend a lot of your time training, traveling, and all that. How do you manage family and being an athlete?
Yeah, I can. Like, there's a lot of training, but like I train, I'm literally around the corner from my gym. So so I spend time. So obviously I did travel earlier when it was harder to get training partners. I would always try and bring the family. Early on, it was hard to do that. Like, we obviously didn't have the money. Now we're in a position where we can, but we choose to do it at home anyway and bring our training partners to us. So I'm home pretty much all year round. Obviously, I've got to get out and about here and there, but I just, so when I'm home, you know, I always try and make sure that, like, you know, they're obviously going to be sorted and well looked after and help whatever way I can, and not just that. You know, when I am home, you know, obviously you need to recover and all that, but you know, you've got to be present. You want to be there. You want to be. You know, I pride myself on being a family man and being there for my family. So that's one thing. You know, as you always got to make time for, you know, being present with your kids, and that's something that, again, I feel like there's a good recovery in that as well. Like, you know, when I'm able to do that, obviously you're going to need to have your naps here and there, and but at the same time, going out there and whether you're, you know, walking to the beach or going for a walk or playing whatever games, or just being present in the house means a lot and definitely helps a lot. But I try not to get out too much. If I am away, I try and keep it as short as possible and squeeze in as much as I can, you know, in a short amount of time.
One more.
Yeah, I saw you announce something recently on Instagram of a fight in January.
Yep.
Is that potentially a rematch with Islam, or is it Tapuria? I know you want to fight.
Most likely be Ilia Tapuria. Yeah. So obviously Islam's in a few weeks. in Abu Dhabi. So I'll be over there watching that, and I'm going to be watching Tyson Fury and that as well. So I'm going to obviously be there ringside. Like obviously I want the winner. So do a bit of a promotion around that. And try and build whatever's next. But obviously I've got my eye on Ilya, but I do definitely want to try and get that lightweight title still.
For that fight, first round.
Islam. Like it could definitely finish early because Charles is going to try and be aggressive, which could be a bad idea with someone like Islam as well, which you're going to leave yourself open to takedowns. And obviously Islam showed he can strike as well, and showed him as well. He already, before he even got the submission, he even got him to the ground through strikes. So, so you probably wish, hope you would think, hopefully people that lose will try and make better decisions after. Like you'd think most people would learn from their mistakes, but I mean his style is aggressive, so I feel him coming. And for me, selfishly, like they're both good dudes, but selfishly, obviously, I want Islam to win because obviously I want I want to end up having that rematch, and it just makes for a bigger rematch because I think our rematch is a very, very big fight for the UFC as well. I think it can definitely do some good numbers, especially with both of us coming off some big wins.
All right, we'll get one more.
Yep.
At the back.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Yeah, you too.
I'm a soccer coach.
Oh, okay, yeah.
What's the best advice you can give by a coach?
By a coach?
By a coach.
By a coach.
What sport?
Man, there's so many things. Like who would have taught me? One thing that I couldn't tell you who taught me, but I mean just me understanding that. So like you hear this all the time now, right? But I mean hearing this a bit earlier on was something that definitely worked and has paid off for me. Like it's pretty common sort of a quote that everyone uses. Be comfortable in the uncomfortable, right? Like, be calm in the chaos and things like that. But understanding, making me really understand that you can say a quote, but then you can really get someone to understand it every day and set examples in the gym. And that's something that I feel definitely, we were talking about it earlier, when you want to be clear in the chaos. You want to be clear and composed when things start to go. And that is being comfortable and uncomfortable. And that can be physically, mentally, in the gym. I think that's definitely been one of the biggest things for me. So it's been the something that's made me who I am as an athlete and probably made me the champion I am. I probably wouldn't be where I am if I didn't have a real understanding of that specific quote. Being trying to be resilient and durable, and it all comes down to that. I mean, I think you can sort of explain that sort of quote in many ways. But I mean, just every day in the gym, literally, you don't want to just turn up fight night with that mentality. You need to turn up to the gym every day, every second in the gym, every second in a position you are in. You need to have that sort of mentality and to be where you are. And that's something that I've been lucky enough to sort of carry with me from my career. Nice, thank you.
Alex, the way we end this podcast is we ask 10 rapid fire questions.
Oh.
Like the answer as fast or as slow
as you can see, my answers are long. I mean, I don't know how rapid fire it's going to be. I'll try and keep them short for you.
I know you're hungry, so let's get this one out of the way. First question, what's your favorite pre-fight meal?
Pre-fight meal, see, it's usually going to be, I got to stick, I'm a professional and I need to make sure it's the best meal I can. So usually you try and stick to, your rices and your chicken and stuff like that. It's things that are easy to, obviously I need your carbs, and things that are easy to break down.
Yeah, done. Favorite superhero?
That's as quick as answer I can do that.
Favorite superhero? This is a quick one.
Favorite
superhero?
Superhero. Should be an easy one. I was going to say Hulk because I used to be the Hulk. Did you know I used to be named the Hulk? My nickname was, I used to be Alex the Hulk Volkanovski.
Okay.
So I'll say Hulk.
Hulk.
Yeah, that was back when I was a middleweight. I mean, then you had all these other guys with Hulk who are literally heavyweights. So I was like, that ain't going to work. So we changed that up.
What's the best?
Who do you think of? What was the easy one then?
Oh no, I was waiting for you to say like Batman or something.
Batman? Yeah. Batman?
Everyone says Batman.
I give you his Batman. Oh, just everyone, or
everyone
I give you Batman. Yeah, good Batman. Yeah.
Can you do that? Can you do the I'm Batman voice?
Hey?
Can you do the I'm Batman?
It's real there. I'll look at the camera. Man, it's just deep, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like, you want me to say I am Batman?
Yeah, I'm Batman.
I don't know if I can do it, eh? Come on! Oh, yeah, I'm gonna do it. Come on. Let me get closer to the camera. How much is that zoomed in? Nah, we'll just do it.
The people
All right.
It's zoomed in right there.
Oh, there we
That
go.
one right there.
Oh, man, this is gonna be terrible, eh?
This is a reel right now. Let's go.
Okay. Oh, man, I don't even want to. I don't ever get embarrassed saying that. We'll just do it. Here goes your rap-fired questions, eh? Oh, man, I want to. Like, how do I start right? Oh, wow, I don't know why this is. Yeah. I am Batman. Far out. Oh, I don't know why that was so difficult, eh? I'm usually good at
We
impersonations.
waited that long. That was terrible.
I know it's terrible. That's why I didn't. That's why it took me so long, because I knew it was going to be terrible. I was about to say it. I'm like, oh, I can already hear how terrible it is. I'm regurgitating nonsense.
What's the best?
I'm going to do my own one, and then I'm going to get that, and then I'm going to say that was edited.
This, I want to ask this, but it's too long.
That's one of the hardest things I've done in a while.
You can knock people out, but you can't say, I'm Batman.
I know, man. Like it was weird. I was talking about being comfortable in uncomfortable positions, and I almost broke saying one little easy line.
There you go.
That's the end of your Hollywood career.
That's why I had to eventually do it.
What would you guys rate that out of 10? 2. That's harsh.
Come on, 0. I mean, it was bad, eh? I mean, it sounded worse in my head.
It was amazing.
It sounded worse in my head. That's why I didn't want to do it.
What's the best advice you've ever received?
Best advice? Yeah. Oh, yeah, I guess we did talk about that. Like,
you did, yes.
Yeah, so we'll just say being comfortable and the uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Let me change that. So I get it, but I've changed that quote to accept the uncomfortable. Because what we do in the gym, what we do in life, you ain't ever going to make things comfortable. That's a lie. You know, things aren't going to get comfortable. But I'm going to accept it. I'm going to accept that feeling and deal with whatever I have to do. So I always say accept the uncomfortable. That's what I've changed it to.
If you could fight any fighter from history, who would it be?
If I could what?
Fight any fighter in history.
I mean, it's. I mean, everyone. Everyone's going to say that. Oh, the money fight. But I mean, it's. I've fought every other featherweight champion but Conor McGregor. Yeah, so like I've beat Aldo, I've beat Max Holloway, and I've beat obviously Rodriguez was interim, but Conor's the only other champion that I haven't beat. Yeah. And then you talk about the circus and then around it, the money around it, and then being able to put one of these on his chin too,
Honestly, I reckon you'll eat him alive. But what's the first thing you do after a fight?
First thing I do after a fight, I mean, you got to do media, you got to do it like, you know what I mean? Like that's honestly. But when I get back, I don't know, just usually just chill with the family and that, just have a little sort of down moment. And usually got a few obligations you got to do. Yeah. But I usually just, to be honest, it's a big adrenaline dump. You could imagine, you put a lot into camp, you put a lot into a fight, and then you got to do all the media. Then you got to go back, and obviously you want to, you got to celebrate and see the people that have come to support you. But then sometimes I just show face and then do that for my friends and family, and then it's like, I need to go back and settle and just, And it's hard enough where usually my wife's with me, but I don't usually have, I'd love to have my kids there, but they're probably a bit young at the moment.
100%.
But I mean, usually just, go back and chill back in the room with the wife.
And last question, I was supposed to ask 10, but I'm getting told to wrap it up.
Yeah, sorry, I told you, man, this ain't rapid fire with me.
Who gave you the hardest punch?
The hardest punch? It's hard to say. The most power I probably felt, and you watch the tape, like with Chad Mendes, even though it was so short, I remember blocking it and he would still, I've got a good base. I'm pretty a strong dude. I'm well based and I'm hard to move. And he was able to, while I was blocking, he was able to really rock me from side to side. I was never really absolutely rocked, but you could feel the weight behind it. So I'd probably say Chad Mendes.
Chad Mendes.
Yeah.
Alex, thank you so much for coming on the Out of Interest podcast. Thank you. Round of applause for Alex, ladies and gentlemen.
Can I say one thing?
One thing.
I apologise for the Batman expression.
World exclusive there, guys. World exclusive. Thank you so much, Alex.
Thank you for I appreciate the support and thanks for being here as well.
Awesome.
And thanks for having me.
Of course. Yes.